No,
It
I think we're
is
live.
coming up. It is coming up, and here we are again. I think a little bit of an issue from my internet today. It possibly didn't start off so well. We are here and happy to be here, everyone. Hopefully, we are all ready for today's session. So, welcome and a very good evening to everyone joining us. GG Delhi NCR is here to bring you another very exciting session. At least we are very excited and have been looking forward to this session for a long time. So I have Vibha here, Empower Captain, GG Delhi NCR. I have Sanchita Ghosh, who is the co-leader, and also the share captain of GG Delhi NCR. So Vibha and Sanchita, been a year almost.
Yeah.
We still sometime go wrong or we still get nervous when something doesn't work. So it's been definitely a period of learning. We've been bringing exciting shows, sessions. We have grown as well in this. And yes, sometimes technology, when it doesn't cooperate, it gives us those nervous
Jitters.
movements as well, jitters when we go live. But going live has a thrill of its own. And in fact, that is something which has made so much of a difference. It's not, we are not restricted to the four walls, and we have reached far and wide. What do you think? We have made a
Absolutely.
difference. Yeah, we have
Yeah,
made
I think
connections.
it's wonderful because often people reach out to you either through social media or they'll drop in a mail somewhere and they'll say how GG Delhi might have impacted them there, the way they teach, and I think starting with that nervousness point, nervousness is good. It keeps us alert,
Yeah,
and yeah, and then we can quickly adapt if technology doesn't cooperate.
yeah. And the best thing about technology and best thing about having these kind of platforms is that now we are not restricted to only somebody who is just next door or who is in my school or who is in Delhi. This GG Delhi NCR is for everyone. You don't have to be a resident of Delhi. So Google educator groups all across the world are open for you to just join in, share. So if you are not a member of GG Delhi NCR, it doesn't really matter. As long as you are participating, as long as you are learning with us. And yes, of course, if you want to get all the updates, do register, do join us on our various socials. We'll be sharing those links as we go along. But another big thing that is happening here now is that we are not restricted only to India or my neighbors, but we have also the experts joining us from all across the world. We've had experts joining us from US, UK, and today we have a very, very special guest joining us from Japan. So I'm going to bring up the person who is our guest, our expert today. Welcome, 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 GG Nagoya's leader from Japan, Nathan Glidart. We call him as Nate because he's also GG APAC mentor. So he's become a mentor and a friend and a buddy, and we meet every week, every month. In fact, not week, every month, but we are connected. So it's so good to have you here on GG Delhi NCR platform. So I welcome you, Nate, and we are really excited, looking forward to today's session.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Sangeeta. And yeah, hello to all of my friends in India and perhaps people from around the world that are watching the broadcast either live or later on YouTube. And as you said, yeah, the GEG, the Google Educator Group community around the world is just fabulous. It's for me, a privilege, and a pleasure to be able to, come in from Japan to talk to people in India. And again, anyone who's watching from around the world. And yes, I look forward to those monthly meetings as well, just to meet people from all over Asia Pacific, to share ideas and kind of plan out things that we can do for educators around the world, and especially our region, which is kind of cool, right? The world is definitely a lot smaller because of technology.
Right. So, as I said, we are really looking forward to your session, but I want to give a brief background of who you are, but would love to have you introduce yourself as well and add in to a few lines that I have on you as shared by you. So, just for the audience, Nathan is a history teacher. He's also department head at Nagoya International School in Japan. But I know that he is not a Japanese per se, so he's going to fill in that for us where he belongs. And he's been teaching in a one-to-one environment for over 20 years. He's a former technology coach, but he's back in the classroom and has a love and passion for educational technology. And you will see in the work that he shares and that he would be talking about. We're honored to have Nathan with us because he's got many, I would say, qualifications as a certified trainer, a Google certified trainer, Google certified innovator. He's, as he said earlier, Google Educator Group leader. He's also Google Earth education expert, YouTube certified, and Adobe Creative Educator. He's been featured on various blogs. In fact, the big event we had Anywhere School, of course, he was the face of the trainer community and had given a very, very nice piece and shared something there as well. So honored to have you here, Nathan, and definitely we don't want to take time away from your, plans. Would love to hand over the stage to you. We'll be there at the back, and in case you need any help or we'll jump in. If you wish to present your screen, I'll put it up as and when you say. And yes, we'll see you soon. You have your time now. So over to you, Nathan.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that introduction. Let me just share my screen here.
Right.
And I'm going to go with the entire screen. Let's just hide that. And just wait for that to kind of pop up here. If you could allow the screen there, that'd be great. Just to confirm, can you see the screen now?
Yes. And
wonderful.
We're moving ourselves from the stage and we are there backstage for you.
Wonderful.
Right?
Okay, everybody. So thank you again for having me. As Sangeeta had said, I'm a history teacher. I also teach individuals and societies. So I'm at an IB school. And of course, within the subject of history and social studies, storytelling is quite easy. But I want to challenge you as I go through a whole pile of tools and apps and ideas to think about, whatever grade level you teach or whatever level of education you're in, think about how you can use this, not just with your classes, but even for presentations, for colleagues and peers and that. But the focus today is digital storytelling approaches and platforms. And so I'm not really going to read through my bio. I will add one thing. I've recently become an Adobe education leader, and I will be highlighting a couple of parts of the Adobe Spark app a little bit later. And throughout this this session, I will say that I'm going to go through a lot of different tools. And for some people, that can be kind of overwhelming. But the point is to highlight what's out there. What are some really great tools that you can use? And I am going to be highlighting the free versions of these tools, though, most of them have a paid version where you can do more. But try not to be overwhelmed and think, okay, I'm going to go back to the slide deck, which I think Sangeeta will probably share, maybe Sanchita as her role as the share captain. We'll share the presentation link for you at some point today, so you can come back to it and click on links and that kind of thing. The deck is a little ugly, but the point is to give you lots of ideas and empower you. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, socialstudiessamurai.com is my website. And for all you people that do training out there, this one on the right has got slide decks that I use at my own presentations. We live in a sharing economy, so feel free to make a copy, modify, and use any of the materials, including this slide deck that you have today. So I'm not going to read through the description, but I will highlight that, we really want to focus on creativity. We want to focus on honesty, and I'll get to that in a moment. At the bottom, you can see a number of the tools that I'm going to be highlighting today. They're not the only ones, but anyway, just for the sake of time, I'm going to move in. So overall, we're going to look at, like your layout, aesthetics, language, stereotypes, and sensitivity. We're going to think about these kinds of things, and I will be demonstrating those tools. A couple of pro tips for you as you use these tools to create the stories that you want to tell. Now, remember, a story doesn't necessarily have to be a narrative that, this happened, then this happened, the story arc in the end. It could be, with these tools, you could use them to teach current events. You could use them to archive or use them as a database of links and resources, which I'll show you, through some of these tools. So imagine that you're not just telling a story, you're actually creating a lesson plan or maybe how-to guides and things like that. I do recommend that before you go and start building these things, have your information that you want already made. I always type up the text I want to use and I put it in a Google Doc. And I find my links to YouTube videos and images, and I type out my copyright citations and that kind of thing, so that when I go to make my stuff, it's just really quick, bang, 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 bang. So get all your materials and resources together before you start building. That's a bit of a pro tip. Think too about any audio you might want to use. If you're creating Quizlets or quizzes or a podcast you want to link, get all that stuff together ahead of time. And try to get a style of your own. If you're using, for example, Sutori, or if you're using Book Creator or Adobe, try to get your own little brand going. If it's your teacher brand, your students can really identify with that. Also, I've got my phone going here, so from time to time, I'm going to be looking at the chat here. So throw in your questions and comments, and I'm happy to be interrupted at anytime. Digital storytelling, essentially, it's telling those stories in a digital platform, right? I'm not going to read through this. You can read through that. But the idea is that anything that's digital, you can put in this, in these tools that you're using. The link at the bottom, have a look at 7 elements of digital storytelling on your own time. I'm not going to read through this, but I will highlight a few things in terms of what teachers get out of this. And through the pandemic, we've realized that flipping our classroom, these tools are a monumental support for teachers and students. And remember, your kids can be creating using these tools as well. This isn't just you making things. This is your kids exploring their creativity in that. But these tools, assuming that people have access, it promotes inclusivity. It helps you as a teacher model academic honesty. It allows you to collaborate with people. It gives you your teacher voice. Now, for the students, similarly, it gives them voice. It gives them agency. What I love about these tools is that it gives kids an authentic audience. They're not just creating something and sharing it with the teacher. You can share this with the entire world. And that teaches them skills in terms of digital citizenship, which I think today actually is just citizenship, because we all live in the digital world, right? I think a lot of these tools are motivating, they're inspiring, it stimulates interest and engagement. It's a record of kids and their learning and that kind of thing. And they can feel good about themselves after they've made something that is theirs, it's their own, they've completed it, you know what I mean? That sense of accomplishment. And again, that sharing with the world. And as we do this, of course, kids are learning skills in research and summarizing and paraphrasing. They're learning academic honesty. They're learning to communicate. As they build with these tools, it's all self-paced, right? So they can take their time and have people look at it and edit and that kind of thing. They can be creative, they can solve problems, and ideally build empathy, which goes into my next little bit, best practices, and then we'll get into the tools. So stick with me here. As we tell stories, let's assume we're telling a story. We really need to think about equity and honesty. Myself, for example, I do live in Japan, and I've been here for over 24 years now, but I originally come from Canada. I grew up in a very white neighborhood. I had a school, my high school had 1,500 students, and I think less than 100 were anything but Caucasian, right? And so when we tell stories about people from around the world and talk about other cultures, we have to be careful to tell those stories honestly. And a quick example I'll give you is when I used to teach a unit on internal conflict, I noticed after a while that I was always using examples where there is civil war, and I thought, oh, this is making certain parts of the world and countries look bad, right? That process of teacher reflection. And so I decided to change the whole unit to a unit just on conflict, because human beings do experience conflict, and that just opened it up, and my students could realize that, oh yeah, with whether it's Black Lives Matter protests in North America and around the world now, of course. And if you look at problems with governments and indigenous people and justice, right? It just goes to show that conflict is something we all experience. So my point is, try to imagine what you're writing or what your kids are writing and how it reflects that group of people they might be writing about. Think of your audience and your purpose. If you're using a lot of text like I do, my target audience usually is upper middle school and high school. Minimal text for the younger ones. And maybe if you have second language learners, use the audio features with these tools to record your own voice if you have time and if you can do it. And again, just completing your research and your citations first, have everything ready. and being consistent. It just makes an easier user experience. So we're going to start very briefly with podcasting. What? Podcasting, you say? Anchor FM is now owned by Spotify. Anchor is free. It's extremely intuitive, and just with your earbuds and the microphone on your earbuds, that's all you need to use Anchor FM. I've actually had kids in our student podcast do recordings from home, where we all just kind of plug in. I invite them, and we're all actually on our smartphones. But you could use a browser. And just as a quick example, I'm going to pop in and out of this slide deck. So this is a podcast that our Individuals in Society students started a couple of years ago, slowed down a little bit during the pandemic. But for example, I had some students at the Kyoto Forum, the 14th UN Crime Congress, which was pretty cool. I actually had one of my students as a conference chair representing the youth. And so I wanted them to tell that story. What was it like? But you can see here, we've had kids talk about their experience with Model United Nations. What's it like to be an historian as you're doing a major research essay called the extended essay in the IB world? I had students in our economics classes. I don't teach econ, but our econ teacher had students talking about Black Friday and demonstrating their learning. Remember, telling a story isn't necessarily just that story arc and something that happened in history. It can be talking about an experience. I highly recommend podcasting. It really is not that difficult. In fact, I hope to create a tutorial on how to use Anchor. And hey, it gets their voice out to the world. I absolutely love podcasting. I wish I could, do more of it. So Book Creator, I know you've had some presentations on Book Creator, but I do want to highlight this. And again, think about, Book Creator as not just telling a story with a story arc, but you can create your own textbooks, storybooks, magazines, how-to guides. You can create presentations. So let me show you a few of mine. And again, this is multimedia. It can be interactive. Let me go with proverbs and expressions. This is one my grade 12 students last year created. I teach at an international school, so we have many languages in the hallway and many students. And this, by the way, Book Creator has its own reader too, if you want. But what we did was, for our elementary students, we created a book called Wisdom from Around the World. And so what the students did was basically record an expression in their mother tongue. And then we wrote it here in that mother tongue as well as in English, because English is our language of instruction at the school. But I am proud to say every child at NIS studies Japanese, the local language, at different levels. Very cool. But here's an example of something that our students did to collaborate and work together that they could share with their elementary students. So that gets like the older kids and the younger kids connected in some way. So for example, let me just play that. Now, I deliberately did not share my tab because I'm going through a whole bunch of different tabs in this session. So maybe you didn't hear that, but when you get the slide deck, feel free to tap on a few of them. Here's another one as an example, and I'm just going to double check while that loads. Such pro tip on pedagogy. Thank you very much, Reshma. Reshma, it's good to see you, by the way. And I think, let's see. Great, thank you. Yeah, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Here's another example too with Book Creator. We were talking about conflict, but I want to point out, linking things like here, we're looking at historical images, right? Now, this one's not historic, but, paintings from like the 1700s. I've got links to 360-degree tours that take you out of the book, but gives you more of a, gives you a richer experience kind of thing. So this was a really fun way to create an understanding of the causes of the French Revolution, which we could take to the next level. And we have a bunch of quotes in history and things like that. So let me pull that out and we'll go back. Valentine's Day. I'm going to point this one out simply because with Book Creator, for example, you can. There we go. The story of Valentine's Day, right? If you want, you can create your own. This is a pretty big book, but you can create your own kind of table of contents, for example. And again, you see here the narrated introduction, and you've got YouTube videos and images. And again, image sources. Book Creator has copyright-free images if you get them directly from Book Creator. They work with Unsplash, which connects to Wikimedia and things like that. But I do put my image sources in there because I want to demonstrate academic honesty. Here's another one too. I got this. I started doing research when the Black Lives Matter protests were happening after the murder of George Floyd. This is a good example of a white guy from Canada talking about the story of African Americans and their communities that were destroyed. An important story to tell, but I was very, very careful when I researched and wrote this. Because I want to make sure I'm representing people fairly and properly, right? But anyway, so Book Creator, you can get as deep and as serious as you want, or you can be playful. So there is a tutorial I've got on my YouTube channel. You could have a look. This doesn't include how you can connect students with the paid version, but all of the stuff in the free version is in there if you want to learn. And I know you've done this with other sessions before. I do want to point out that you can become a book creator certified author. It doesn't take that long, but the video clips teach you everything you need to know, and you can add that to your certification list. By the end of August, you could apply to be a book creator ambassador as well. That's kind of the next level, and they only do it once a year, from my understanding. So keep an eye out for that. They're linked here, so you can learn a little bit more and build your educational technology background. Another one that I think is starting to grow in popularity that I try to promote every opportunity I get, and I believe we have Thomas Ketchell, one of the two cool dudes that have created Sutori from the United Kingdom, are here. So feel free to introduce yourself, Thomas, and throw the link in the comments. Sutori, you can create unit plans, stories, collections, how-to guides, presentations. Sutori actually acts as a presentation tool as well. And again, multimedia, interactivity. I like Sutori because it has built-in quiz features and things like that. So let's see. Let me go with the story of Valentine's Day. I think the story of Christmas is one where I've got actually a whole bunch of really cool stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is pull that one up. I like holiday history. My goal is to add some more holiday history from different holidays around the world, right? So here's the story of Christmas. And if I want, for example, I could click on present and actually use this as a presentation tool, which I think is pretty cool. But what I like to do is give the background, and then I put a forum in here. What do you think? And when my students are logged into their account, you can see here it's got 26 responses. These are all comments that my students made based on this image. I give them a provocation in the beginning, right? I should be doing that with Book Creator and other tools too, but you can see here it's multimedia. It looks kind of like a timeline, but you don't have to use it as a timeline. I've got how to understand the news. I've got lesson plans for sustainable development goals. Here's an example of testing your knowledge, right? Where you can do little quizzes within the app. I like to put little did you know things and all the stuff that I make just to spark that curiosity. And so again, true, false, it's just a really cool tool. If I wanted to, I could actually take one of these videos and spread it completely across the page if I wanted to. So there's more you can do with design. If we have time towards the end, actually, Sutori is one I'm going to open up and show you just how easy this tool is to use. Let me pop in and let's see. Rachel and Justin, we've looked at history in the news. Okay, so here's an example of, I wish I had more time on Sutori. I do 1-hour sessions on Sutori actually from time to time. Here's an example of history in the news. So some news sources that had some kind of discussion about history, like problems with textbooks and things like that. I've got an audio podcast that is linked. I just copied the link and directly put it in here from National Public Radio in the United States. I have another one on recommended books. If I go to social site, the last one I'll show you, because the point is to imagine how you can use all of these. Let's see, historiography, the joy of reading. I've got this and I have it linked in my Google classrooms for students because I want to encourage them to read. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a Sutori story on books that I think students might like. These aren't the only books I read, of course, but these ones are pretty quick chapter by chapter reads that I think are interesting for students. So there's just another example, and this is obviously ongoing, right? But Sutori, fantastic app. I highly recommend you look into it. And I do have a full tutorial on how to use it. And also, Sutori has an ambassador program as well. So you can become a Sutori storyteller. So play with the app. It's totally cool. I know my students like it. Okay. Now, I'm not going to jump into deep detail on Google Earth projects because I know you've done this recently. I was supposed to be presenting at that. I apologize again. But again, imagine how you can use Google Earth projects to tell a story. You can teach historical events or just things, for example, in history. I'm sorry, I'm a history teacher, right? So these are where my examples come from. But again, you can export an entire Google project and then import it to, if you find one you like, you download the KML file, which is like a spreadsheet, like an Excel file, and then you can upload it, for example. Let's see, with this one, I want to highlight maybe, let's see, St. Valentine's Day again. Yeah, I think I'll use this just to show people kind of how it looks, just in case they haven't used Google Earth and Google Earth projects. This one always takes a little bit of time to load, but that's okay. And I want to just see if we got any comments here. Feel free to throw your questions and comments in the chat here. Nice to 32 people watching. Nice to have such a big group, but I'm not surprised because people in India are really into education. Okay, so if I click present, so what I like about this is you can create your opening title slide, for example, and that's what I have here. And what I always do is link some kind of activity, whether it's Quizlet or Kahoot or Flippity, quiz shows like Jeopardy, for example. And so simply when you tap the arrow or, you use the table of contents to view things, great for a jigsaw activity. Maybe not this one, but for example, when you have different things like inventions in history, then that's one that would be good for a jigsaw activity where students are learning about one part of a tour and then teaching each other. So you see I've got loads of text here and I've got my image sources. But here you can embed your images, you can embed video. I like this nice clean look with the black banner or bar on the side. I want to show you this one because I think this is like way cool. This is something I like. Watch what happens here. So we're still in Rome. We've gone around the world. We're coming back to Rome and whammo, it takes us right down into this church that, purportedly has the relic of St. Valentine. That's another interesting thing in the story. And notice that they've got the street view here. So Google Earth projects, very, very cool. Great for telling stories or just talking about different things like cultures around the world, like cultural celebrations, and that kind of thing. And I also have a full tutorial on this if you want to have a look. I want to highlight one thing. Google has a program called Geo for Good, and they've got their Summit 2021 coming up in November. I believe it's November. I can't attend, unfortunately, because of my schedule, but they have speakers from all over the world that are experts in things like climate change, justice. Just have a look. Maybe if you can attend, it's completely free. Usually it's on site in California, but they've been virtual the last couple of years, of course. This has a link, so feel free to have a look at it and participate. We've got a question here, I think. Do you share questions? We have an expert now. Yes, please do share your questions, everybody. Google My Maps, I want to show you this because I think there's a lot of creative ways you can do things. Like, for example, here's the story of, was it Pinku and Panikin or something? Panikin and Pinta. So what this teacher has done, I didn't make this. What this teacher has done is taken a book that the students have read, and then they've told the story by, clicking, like, marking the pin or pinning the places. This is a sample, for example, but these are the places that are talked about in the book. And so now they've got this, visualized, the story visually, right? I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely a good idea. How about a travel diary, for example? Here's one that I did with my students. Let me show you social justice in the news. This was, when the BLM marches and protests were happening around the world. What I had my students do was research from their home city or somewhere in the world that's close to their heart about whatever kind of protest was happening with regard to BLM, because the Black Lives Matter movement has, gone global, right? And so they just simply filled a Google form out. I took that Google form and then I just imported it. And now I've got all of their different stories that my students made. And it was really quick to do. And then we could get this sense of, again, social justice and inequity happens around the world, right? So feel free to look at some of these. The conflict stories, actually, with that, I've got students They did a video, they did the research, and then we just quickly created a Google My Map that I could tweet out to the parent community. Pretty cool stuff. And again, there's a full tutorial on how to use Google My Maps. And I've got some other stuff on My Maps on my YouTube channel too, that if you want to learn how to import bulk information from your students, I have a video that teaches you how to do that. Google Story Spheres. My goodness, I got to put more time and money into this because it's a cool idea. Basically, this is a single image 360 tool. I don't know why people don't know about Google Story Spheres. I don't even know how I found it. But here's an example of a 360 photo that I took. I think this is one that I took here. Or maybe this is, here's a Shinto shrine and burial mound where I live. This is a shrine that's like 1,500 years old. So I took this photo. You can see me hiding right there. I always try to hide. But what you do is put your own audio hotspots in. Now, that was just kind of a test. So that was just kind of a test for me. I'm playing around. Usually what I'll do is put some background music and make my crappy voice sound a little bit better. There's one here of a 360 story of a school in the United States from the 1800s. I have another one, actually, if you're curious. I had a security guard come and tell me, are you media? You can't take photos and videos if you're media. It's a controversial place. Here's another one I want to show you. Timelines, right? JavaScript timelines. This is so easy to create. I've got a tutorial video coming up. And I'll show you here. And again, timelines, tell stories. If you want to make a timeline, it shows you how to do this. It's very, very simple. Women in computing, for example, Ada Lovelace, surprise, surprise, right? Charles Babbage actually did give her credit for her ideas. It's just other people that decided to give him credit instead of Ada Lovelace. Just, it's history, right? I'm sorry. Anyway, this is a really smooth looking tool for a timeline. I've got one that I've made, but all those images that you have here, this is made with Google Sheets, by the way, and it's very straightforward. And again, you can see here that you can put video in there. So here's another tool you can use just to tell stories, right? So Adobe Spark, I want to talk about Adobe Spark for a moment because Adobe Spark Video and Spark Page, great tools for students to tell their stories, learning portfolios, how-to guides, you name it. Here's one that I'll show you one my student had created. Let me just tap that. I had that link to Premiere Rush in there. I think that's another cool tool. Works kind of like iMovie, but Adobe Spark Video is extremely simple to use. I've got a tutorial video coming. Okay, so you see how that transition went? Adobe Spark Video is extremely simple to use. You have very few choices in terms of their themes and templates. It's got free images. It's got from Unsplash. It's got free, copyright-free images and background music, but you can upload your own music and images as well. Very easy tool, even for like, I'd say, kids in like grade 3, grade 4, if they can access a browser, they can use it. Let me get another one here. I'm going to show you. I created this to become an Adobe Creative Educator Level 2 very quickly, just to show you that you can put in videos as well. So you can put a video in your video, so to speak, right? So do you see how those transitions are ridiculously smooth? And just for the record, that opening, the opening part here, this thumbnail that I created, I made that in Adobe Spark as well for Adobe Spark post or graphic design. And it's formatted perfectly to the size of a YouTube thumbnail. So I also used it in my video. So again, those transitions, it's extremely user-friendly and intuitive. I've got... OMG, that's amazing. Never knew about this one. I'm not sure if that's Adobe Spark or JS Timeline, but anyway. Now, Adobe Spark Page. Now, Adobe Spark has 3 elements: Post for graphic design, video, Spark Video for video, and Spark Page for websites. Here's one on active learning, but I want to show you one that my students and I started last year. And again, think about the stories. Know your news. This was a lesson plan on Adobe Spark Page on how to teach using the news. In fact, I might show you both. And I'm looking at the time. We got like 23 minutes, and there's so much to show you. There's a world of awesomeness up there. Now, what I like about this Adobe Spark page is, look at the transitions. It's just really smooth, right? This gives very few options, but that's why it's so easy to use. You can put in buttons, you can put in videos. My student made this video. You see my face there because it's on my school account. But do you see how smooth that is? That looks like really, really good. This is all the work of my students. Let me show another example. Again, imagining how we can tell those stories. This isn't obviously a story, but it's a lesson plan for online learners, right? So, this is all about understanding the news. And here I've got buttons to other resources you can use. This is actually for teachers, not for students. But there's another example of how you've got a nice smooth transition with Adobe Spark Page. And then I've got, images that have links. And if you go to the bottom, what I like is the credits are automatically put in there for you. If you use an image from their tool, Adobe Spark Page, or if you link a YouTube video, right there, they give the credits. Absolutely perfect, because you're demonstrating academic honesty. And if we have time, again, I want to show you quickly Sutori and what the dashboard looks like, as well as Adobe Spark Page and video. But maybe I can come back and do another workshop on Adobe Spark. Now, you can become an Adobe Creative Educator. That's the name of their teacher program. To get level 1, it honestly will only take you a couple hours. You have to learn Adobe Spark Post, create a graphic that's inspiring for educators, and put it out on Twitter and share with them. I do want to highlight something else, though, because you're all here, everybody. We've got people, because you want to learn, right? So Adobe has paired, well, first off, National Geographic has a whole bunch of free courses for educators, and this is linked. But also Adobe has now partnered up with National Geographic. And so they've got storytelling with photography, storytelling with video. I'm just about to finish this course myself, actually. Storytelling for audio. If you want to try podcasting, I can guarantee you'll get ideas here. I'm going to be doing this one next. And graphics. And so, the idea is you got those 4 courses that are connecting National Geographic to Adobe products, right? So that's all linked. I encourage you to do that. To become level 2 Adobe Creative Educator, you got to create a Spark video and a page and a lesson plan. It'll take you about a weekend. And you get connected to all these awesome teachers around the world, very much like you would with a Google Educator group. Many Google Google certified educators and trainers are actually Adobe Creative Educators as well. And they have an Adobe Education Leader program as well, if you really want to get deep into it. So we're going to wind down the next 10 minutes where I'm just going to show you some more examples of telling those digital stories. Whiteboarding, screencasting, stop motion. All very engaging. These are good for you as a teacher, too, to create tutorials for your students. So here's an example of some students of mine that were English as additional language learners, and they had to demonstrate understanding of the characters in A Midsummer Night's Dream. These girls were in grade 7, and they're, explaining the relationship between, Demeter and Lysander and all that. So I'll show you this. Whoops. Let me just go back here and play that, because what they're doing is showing the story, but they used the iPad as a document camera and a piece of paper just to draw the characters and vocalize. And that is storytelling. So you can see them drawing here, right? Now you could do that maybe on a whiteboard, but this is a good way for students to show that, hey, I understand this, or tell a story. Maybe they want to draw a story. So I thought that was kind of cool. Here's one where students were whiteboarding. The girls here actually won a small award with the Next Vista for Learning. Actually, I was quite proud of this one. But so what they did was learn about the positive effects of volcanoes on a community. And they took the iPad and they put their frame, they drew their frame on the whiteboard of our classroom. And this was after school or at lunchtime. And they just drew using whiteboard markers. And then they recorded their narrative, the narration. And then they just took the video that they recorded and did a time lapse so that the time matched the time matched their whoops. I think that's I'm pretty sure. Oh, maybe it's just linked to Next Vista instead. So here we go. So you see how they're doing this? They just, sped it up after they recorded the video. They just, did the drawing, then they did the narration. I think they did the narration first, actually. Whiteboarding, it's a great tool. This next one I'm not going to show you. You can look, but why not use PowerPoint, Google Slides, Keynote, and then all they have to do is use QuickTime to record their screen and their voice as they go through using a slide deck demonstrating their learning. Stop motion I want to show you. Because stop motion is quite fun. I've had students do stop motion with clay. They've done it with paper, like you can see in this one here. So what the girls did, again, same idea. They recorded their narration and then they put the stop motion in there. They drew and cut those things out. Lovely job. I thought it was great. Now, Stop Motion Studio is the app that I use on my phone. We just, summer school, I was helping a teacher with stop motion, and we had the kids do their storyboarding, and they created their characters out of clay and Lego, and some of them used whiteboards and drew, and they use Stop Motion Studio, which is free. You can record audio within the tool. And, imagine a kid in grade 4 taking 1,000 images or 1,000 photos of a Lego character telling a story. Stop motion, it's a great tool. And I think at all levels you can use it as well. So check out Stop Motion Studio. Let's see. And I'm looking at Samantha. Hey, great to see you. We're all givers to the community. Here's another example of Edu-Creations where you can whiteboard. And this is what I used as an example to explain this propaganda painting that was made by David of the coronation of Josephine, the wife of Napoleon Bonaparte. And I just love this painting because it's got so much propaganda in it. So you see what I'm doing here is I'm circling things, talking about the painting. And just because I'm a history teacher, I have to share this with you. I love it because the Pope looks like he's giving his blessing, right? But he actually didn't want Napoleon to crown Josephine the Empress. These are sisters holding the train of her cape. They didn't want to be there. They weren't even there. David painted himself like right up here. He wasn't there. And Napoleon's mother was angry at Napoleon. She didn't even go, but David painted her right here. I love it. It's great. And it's a story, right? And a very interesting one. Viddle is another one. It's free. If you pay the it's about $12 or $10 US. It's the free version is limited to 1 minute. But it's a really cool app for your phone or for your iPad. I actually like it so much that I did buy it for my iPad. Great tool for whiteboarding. So have a look. Some other tools. Thinglink. And I didn't put the Thinglink Ambassador Program link here. I will put that in when we're done. But Thinglink is another 360-degree tool. Now that Google doesn't have VR Tour Creator anymore, I can see loads of people going to Thinglink. And what I like about Thinglink, now these are photos that I snapped myself, but if you can go to a database with 360-degree images. But what I like is students can kind of scroll around, but you see we've got hotspots here. Right? Some of them have text, others don't, right? So if you see here, I've added a little bit of text telling people what things are. Here's a little bit of background about this shrine. This shrine is extremely old, right on the top of a mountain, pretty cool. And again, you can embed YouTube videos and whatever media you want to use. So Thinglink, I highly recommend. I think it's a very, very cool tool. And here's a few more examples if you want to have a look. Ibooks Author is another one. I've actually taken my iBooks out. I tend to use other tools, but Ibooks Author is also just a really good tool. So here's some other ideas you might think. Choose your own adventure. In fact, I might pull up a choose your own adventure thing. In fact, we could do a whole workshop on that. I just did one about 3 weeks ago. Choose your own adventure with Google Forms and Google Slides. In fact, I might pull that up and drop it in the comments when we're done here because it's storytelling, right? But things like creating storybook readings, like, you could record yourself reading a storybook, be careful of copyright, of course, or maybe have students draw their own picture and record themselves telling a story. I've had kids use a green screen where I scanned their photos but I took the video of them telling the story, and then I just put the picture in behind them because we green screened it. So that's another way you can do storytelling. Great for elementary kids, I think, as well. Okay, so I'm going to pop out here, and if you can bear with me for one moment, I am going to jump to, let's see, Google Drive. Because I do want to show you Choose Your Own Adventure. It's not difficult, but it does take a little bit of thinking. But what I like about Choose Your Own Adventure for yourself as the teacher creating something, but also, okay, we're going a little bit slow here, but it's computational thinking, right? So let me pull one up here that I can show you. I'm working on a tutorial for this as well. But there, CYOA, Choose Your Own Adventure. I'm going to share this template with you. I don't know why I didn't put this in the workshop, but here's an example. And let me pull the template up just so you can kind of see. Okay, I'm going a little bit slow here. Right. I think that's the one. So I put this together in a workshop for some teachers in Kentucky a few weeks ago. And we built this together, right? And if we do a workshop on Choose Your Own Adventure stories with Google Slides, that's exactly what we'll do. Is you'll join me and we'll create a story together. So the way this is set up is that all the slides are kind of linked to each other, right? And okay, I'm going a little bit slow here. Usually I have pretty powerful Wi-Fi. Oh, by the way, then, since we're waiting for that to load, this is my website, Social Studies Samurai. If you look at Tech in Class or activities, you're going to find lots of stuff you can download. I've got video tutorials, but there's also, Google Slides decks, and there's Google Drawings templates that you can use. All right, so for example, so what you do is publish this in Google Slides. You create your story, and then you go to edit, and then or go to file, and then publish to the web, and then you share that published link with your students. And this is what they get. The cafeteria seems strange. Okay, what are you going to do? Do you check it out? Do you stay where you are? Okay, you check it out, and then it takes you to a different place. What do you do? Investigate further? Okay, what do you do? And notice here it says goes to slide 11, right? So we didn't get to complete the story, but the idea is all of the different options are linked, right? I would love to teach you how to do this. It's pretty cool. I've got one I'm making for my grade 9 students now. So I've pretty much gone through things, and I do want to take a few minutes just to quickly show you Sutori. Again, I just think it's such a cool tool. We probably won't have time to jump into Adobe, but I do want to show you how easy this is to use. So let me just quickly log in. I'm going to log in with Google, and I go into this account. Again, this is not really a how-to hands-on session, but just to show you the interface with Sutori, you got loads and loads of resources here, editors picks. You can search by subject area and that kind of thing. If you have students, like I've had students use this, so I'm not going to actually show you that because their names are there, but I can see their engagement. Have they done the quizzes? Have they commented on the forums and things like that? I've got all these different folders in that, but if I want to create a story, and I'm going to be doing current events, for example. Here you can look for different subject areas and templates if you want. I'm kind of anal, so I like to create from my own, right? So you would put in your banner here. We don't have time to kind of go through that, but let me just go current events. Whoa, I don't type. And then introduction. I'll just put intro. And then here's my first heading. Topic 1. Now, all I had to do is click here on that plus button. And yes, you can drag and move things around, right, if you want. And then I got my options. Is it an audio file that I want to record from the app? I can record in the app, or I can upload. Do I add a video? Do I add an image? Is it a link or whatever? I can add a PDF file. Your bibliography goes down at the bottom, which is nice because there's the academic honesty piece. So let me tap on that. Here, if I want, I can add media. So let's go to Unsplash, and let's just go current events, see what they give me. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I think I'm going to go with that. So now I have an image to go along with my text. And if I want, I can link text within the text. And of course, you have people able to comment. let's see. If I tap, let me just, sorry, not tap on that. You just notice you can, of course, make things larger. You can change color schemes and things, just to make it kind of your own. And again, you can make things go across the page, or you can have them act as a timeline, right? So if I put a did you know thing here, and then I put my text in. So again, you share with Google Classroom or Microsoft, whatever, just like you do with any other app. I just wanted to show you how ridiculously easy Sutori is to use. So we've got about 8 minutes. I think I am going to just open up Adobe Spark. I'm not going to walk through the dashboard, but I will just kind of show you the interface with video. Send me a note here if you think it would be better just to jump into Q&A. But I'm happy just to quickly show you, again, how you might be able to create. Whoa, that's not the one I wanted. Yeah. A little bit crazy here, right? If you haven't noticed. Okay, this is the account that I want. So Adobe Spark, remember, has 3 elements: design with page, video with Adobe Spark Video, and Spark Page to create web pages. The video would take a little bit longer to load and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go with just page to show you how really simple this is for you and for students. Come on now. And let me close these up, close those tabs, and we're ready to go. And by the way, right, here's an example of that Google Doc. Here's one on, World Heritage Sites. I've got all my texts. I've got my images and my videos already selected. So if I want to make something, I can just make it really quickly. So Adobe Spark web pages are made with this tool called Presentation. And so it's going to take a moment to load. And again, the purpose here is to show you how very, very basic but powerful this is. Add a title. World Heritage Sites. And you notice that I cannot type. In fact, let me just go back, and I'm just going to copy the introduction text that I have. And I'm going to post that there. And it's a quote from UNESCO. So what I'm going to do is actually tap here and choose a photo. This is going to be my background. I'm going to choose free photos, and I'm going to go World Heritage Sites. And I believe the Taj Mahal is one of the ones that kind of come up real quick, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so it takes a moment to load. Remember, these are copyright free. Oh, there's Petra, actually. There's the Taj Mahal right there. Let's put that in. So we've got that. And so now let me go back and see what I have. Yeah, I'm going to go with Shirakawa Go. So I think what I'll do is very quickly add a photo. I'm going to go Shirakawa Go, which is probably about 3 hours away from where I live right now, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you ever get to Japan, please let me know. So now I can play around with that a little bit, but I think what I'm going to do is split my layout. All right, so that's not going to allow me to split right there. Full width window. Yeah, maybe we're going to put it in line. Let's see. Now I think what I'll do is just go here. I'm going to add that again. So I should have split my layout first right here. I'm going to add some text, and I think my text is going to be my heading. Okay, I'm going to highlight that and bold it. I'm going to put it in the middle, and I'm going to go back and grab some of my text, and I'm going to grab all that stuff. No, I'm not going to grab it all. I'm just going to go boom. Let me hit my plus button, choose text again, goes in there. Let me just copy my video. See how quick this is? I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to go here. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to choose video. Going to put that there, click save, and now I have a video in there. Let's see if I want to, let's say I want to have a direct link, but with a button. Let's say I want people to go to a web page. I'm going to choose button, and I'm going to put YouTube. Let's say it's a website, though. I'm going to tap that. I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm going to click save. And so now I've got a button. So let me click present here, and then you can see kind of how it looks. Let it load for a moment. Let's see. Adobe Spark's awesome. Completed ACE level 2. Submitted. I'm not surprised. Awesome. So look at how smooth this is. I put a different picture in there, of course. And then I've got, my video I can play in there. I got YouTube, and oh my goodness, academic honesty, the credits are right in there. So Adobe Spark, just do it. Yes, we want you to become Google for Education certified trainers and educators and innovators. And the Innovator Academy is coming up, folks. The deadline to apply is September 17th. talk to your people about that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And just in case you didn't get the link to the slide deck, I'm going to pop that in for you. Let me just stop sharing. And so finally, I just do want to say thank you, everyone, for having me here today. And again, apologies for missing the last one, but I would love to come back and do this again sometime on whatever topic, that kind of works for everybody. But I loved having everybody here. Thank you for your comments in the chat. And to all my friends in India, great to see you. Can't wait for the next one.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Mind is
so much that you have to
officially
share.
blown.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Officially blown, I agree.
But remember, everybody, too, right? If you see something you like, say, this month I'm going to try Thinglink. This month I'm going to do Sutori. Not everything at once. But there's a load of ideas. And if you're doing a project with your students, right, just say, here are your options, Sutori, Adobe Spark Page, or whatever. It just gives you more tools in your toolkit. But don't feel like you have to learn them right away, everybody, right? Just take your time.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
In fact,
And
that
this
is the way.
Yeah, this is one video I'm going to come back and rewatch again and again because there were just so many ideas coming up.
Definitely.
So yeah, one at a time. Yes.
Yes.
And
It's
the
a
link
marathon.
is there as well. The resources have been shared. So we have shared the link in the chat, made a short link for that as well. So if you go to bit.ly/storytellingnate, so that would take you to the deck. That would be easier if you would like to just save that link somewhere and get back to it. Amazing, absolutely. I mean, there are so many things that we had not tried or not thought about earlier. So I guess Vibha was getting excited about a few of them. Yes, Vibha,
Yes,
what do you
absolutely.
think? Which one are you going to give a try?
Google Story Spheres, I had absolutely no idea about. I mean, that's definitely right away. That's what I'm going to try. And of course, Sutori, I again had no idea about that. So definitely going to try these two out, and waiting for the Thinglink ambassador link as well. As Nate said, he'll share
I'll
that
get that
as
in
well.
there. I'll do it
And
once we're
of
finished.
course, yeah, of course. And also, I mean, I'm a greedy person. Another session on Adobe Spark, maybe?
I would love to. I would love to.
Yeah, I was just following the chat here as well, and Vatsala says she's already waiting for the next session. So
Yeah,
I think, Nate, you've got your calendar full.
That's all. Well, I just did a full 1 hour session on Adobe Spark on Thursday night for a bunch of English teachers in Japan. So that workshop is already set up. All I need is the 1 hour. I don't have to prepare anything really. Can I give this recommendation though, folks, to everybody watching? A good way to get to know the apps is to do their, certification programs, because often, not always, but often they have videos that guide you through it. And so you do it step by step, and you learn to use the app as you also get the certification, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, that is how, when I look back as to where we or you might have learned, somewhere there are, resources in plenty. One doesn't have to really, go and buy a product or go and enroll yourself in a course. These are things which are available. The online resources that are available are so amazing, so self-learned that, just spend time. And I think also the best thing is, like for me, I know I actually had seen Sutori because you had shared that Valentine's story through one of the trainers group communication, right? So that's when I saw it. But since I had not used it with my students, I am hesitant to go and teach or talk about it. So I think another way to master a product or any tool is to give it to the students, give them a chance to try it, and then you just watch the magic happen.
The magic
and
unfold,
along that
truly.
process, you learn it, and you also get you invest yourself into it because you want to guide the students properly, or you want to. So I think the best thing is just to use it without worrying about how and what the kids are going to do with it. Give them the opportunity to try it out, and I think it works.
Absolutely. Right? I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
So definitely. What do you say, Sanchita, since you are also, because you are a history teacher, right? So you and Nate are exactly on the same page for many of these things.
I'm far behind. I'm far behind. Trying to catch
No,
up.
but you are also a
Yeah, the subject,
storyteller.
yes. Yes.
You are also a storyteller, as you know. All in fact, whenever I think of good history teachers who I have worked with, or who possibly had kind of influenced my interest, or changed my mind about the subject, it's a history teacher who really has a knack of storytelling, who can teach the subject in a story form, right? So I think what Nate is talking about is also because his subject demands that, and you are a social science history teacher. You're leading many of these sessions. So, what
Yeah.
do you have to say about what would you take back to your classroom, and how would you excite your teaching community as well? Because
Yeah. In
you
fact,
are an
today
influencer.
I had a day long workshop just on this, that how to tell a story through paintings which have been produced by an outsider. So we were looking at Baltazar Solvin, who had visited India in the late 18th century,
Um,
and what his impression of India was, and how today, as contemporary historians or students of history, we can look at those paintings and try and understand that period, not only as an insider, as an Indian myself, and also but also from a outsider's perspective, that things that I miss, things that as an Indian I might take for granted, an outsider can bring my attention to something that otherwise we would have lost. So our whole workshop was really on that, and how we can create activities for students, and then let the students take the story forward. So yes, these are powerful tools, especially the JS timeline is super powerful. I have played with that, and it's free. That's the best part. I love free tools. And yes, it integrates so beautifully with Google Sheets. So it's, you've got all your data you put into the sheet, and it's zoop, it's right there in your timeline.
And,
So
and
yeah,
can I?
yeah. And the idea is to always let the students play with these tools as well. So I might create something very rudimentary, and so try to get them excited. And I say, okay, now can you surprise me? Can you really blow my mind? And all of my practical work, all of my project work that I do with my students is really also telling them that your audience is not just me, your audience is the whole world. So create something that everyone can learn from.
yeah.
I was just going
Nate,
to
you were saying
emphasize that we
something.
want.
Yeah.
Well, I was just no. Sanchita just said it. We want our students to tell stories, right? And also be aware of, again, if you're telling somebody else's story, are you doing them justice, right? But yeah, that's it. You just said it. Wonderful.
Fantastic. I think we have so much to go back on and process. And definitely, that 1 hour was, as one of our participants, who's also a social science teacher, Yogita has written that, she thought that she was on a roller coaster ride of tools.
I
So,
love that.
yeah. So I think you said it right at the beginning. You gave a kind of a disclaimer that don't get overwhelmed by the
Yeah.
tools. Take what works for you, get back to them one at one time, and let's see how that works for you. The possibilities have been showcased, and what I really like is, Nate, that you have shown the work that you and your students have done. So it's
Yes.
not something, that is amazing. That is, I guess your
Real
students
story.
are blessed. Yes. So it is coming out of the experience and practice that you have put into it, and the work that your students have done it. So kudos to them as well, because this is definitely not a one-sided, presentation. It is their presentation as well. So
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
so very much. Thank you so very much for
Thank
sharing
you.
this. Any last thoughts on this? If we go around, Vibha, would you want to
Yeah,
conclude?
just kind of put
I
in a word
just
here. Sorry.
Yeah,
Please, Vibha, go
please.
ahead.
no, I was just about to say I feel like I can listen to him for another hour, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
You don't want that.
So I mean, no, I do. I mean, fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to kind of bring in a thought here, that it's not just history where storytelling works. I think any subject, storytelling works. It's such a powerful medium to teach a subject through a flow of stories. So I
Yeah,
think whether it's mathematics or science, or physical education, art, anything can be told through a story.
right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. Nate, any thoughts before we close the session? And again, of course, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for having me. Absolutely loved it. I love this kind of thing, obviously, as we all do, right? Sharing what we know. So thanks everybody for viewing. Whether it's during this live session or later on. Take your time with the tools. Just have fun with it, and I look forward to the next one. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We will look forward to inviting you again, and definitely, since you said your one of the session is already, we just need to fix the right time which works for you and for us. We would love to have you here to talk about maybe Adobe Spark or any other thing that you would want to take forward. And in the meanwhile, we're going to give a try to Sutori definitely, because that's something completely new, and see how that fit puts gets into the context of various other subjects as well. So as said, Sanchita said, even if it's a math or if it is physical education, let's see how we get any of these tools work for us. And so that in case there are queries, from our viewers who are either members of GEG Delhi NCR or are watching the recording later, if you have any queries, do share with us, either on our social media, or you can reach out to us through the YouTube comments itself. Let us know, and we can have another session to give you a more in-depth tour of any one of the tools that is exciting everyone. So thank you so much, and stay safe, stay well, everyone. Have a good year ahead of the schools that have just reopened or are in the process of, as in Delhi, there is a chance that we might be going back to school in the next few days. So if that happens, then also let's hope that the learning continues, whether we are in school or we are teaching from home. So with that, we are going to conclude today's session, and we will meet again very soon. Bye, everyone.